Governor Huckabee still with me. We're also joined by real estate magnate and former fundraiser for President Obama, Don Peebles, with their reaction to Hillary Clinton in Detroit, Michigan right now, Governor. So do you have voters' remorse, buyers' remorse voting for Trump right now?
Pretty sure I don't, Liz. I'm pretty pleased that I went ahead and voted for Trump in early voting. Hearing Hillary make that speech, for me, is painful because I feel like she's yelling at me. She's not talking to me, she's yelling at me. And she's yelling at America right now. And just before an election, when you're yelling at the voters, it's not a good sign.
So what's your reaction? I mean, the Democrat candidate right now in Detroit, Michigan, Don, what do you think?
Yeah, I think the geographic location is really interesting. That is a state that should be Democratic. It's been a dependable state for the Democrats for a while. And she had that in the win column, and now she's there now. A few days before the election, and I think that indicates that she's playing some defense as opposed to trying to expand. And so that must mean that there's some tracking polling internally telling her that she needs to be there. And then they've got to defend Pennsylvania as well, as the governor was just saying. And I think that's also indicative. There is definitely a shift that has happened. And, you know, it's part because, look, I'm a Democrat, and I talk to people on both sides. And what I've seen here is there's just this frustration on both sides in terms of what the options are, and there's a lack of enthusiasm. I have not seen this in my entire lifetime, and I can remember the presidential elections since Richard Nixon. This lack of enthusiasm, the fact that after the outcome of this election, I think that half the country or more will be, you know, unhappy. So, you know, we're a divided country. This has been an extremely divisive campaign, heavy on attacks and short on ideas of vision for America. I think, frankly, you know, given the difficulties that Trump has had as a political candidate, I would have expected Hillary Clinton to have expanded a lead here and maintained it. And I think that has to come from somebody who's articulating a vision for America. And what the vision is, not how bad the other person is, but how good your vision is.
Yeah, Governor, Hillary Clinton has been saying, I have the better temperament, I have the steadier hand. And it's basically, her campaign has been, it seems like, riding out the clock and also attacking Donald Trump, right? So, and to Don's point, what are the policy ideas? What is her vision for America?
I haven't heard one. You know, Donald Trump has talked about draining the swamp, and he's been specific. Term limits, stopping the revolving door of people going from government to lobbying, making a lot of money, cashing in their government service. He's talked about immigration reform, real immigration reform, getting control on it, stopping unfair trade deals, cutting corporate taxes, bringing jobs. I mean, those are real policy ideas, and people are connecting to that because they know that the things that they've seen have not worked. Hillary is not giving them an emotional reason to vote for her. I said she's gone so negative. Trump, on the other hand, to his credit, has really gone these last 2 weeks very positive. He's out there. He's having fun. This is a choice between the Trump or the Grump, and I believe that the happy warrior wins most elections in the final days. If one candidate looks like that they're going somewhere and the other one looks like they're sorry they've been, the person going somewhere is the one people want to follow. That's a leader.
Don, there's been a lot of talk about Hillary Clinton having more paths to victory through the states, right? That Donald Trump really does need to win Florida and all the states that Mitt Romney won in 2012, plus Ohio. And Hillary Clinton, basically, with the solidly Democrat-leaning states right now, she's on the path, has way more paths to victory through the Electoral College, right? We know the polls show neck and neck. But in terms of what people do in the voting booth, they say to themselves, it's a moral choice. What is good for the family? What is good for America, right? So what do you think the Democrats will do when they go into the voting booth?
Look, I think the one thing that everybody's in agreement with is no one wants politics as usual. I think that the vast majority of people on both sides of the aisle want change. They do not like this political environment, this gridlock, this pay-to-play, all the things that are associated with Washington, D.C. politics. And so I think people want to change there. I think the challenge is that while, you know...
Do you think Hillary brings that change?
I don't think that a person who has been in politics since the 1980s, in national politics since 1992, is a step forward for change. So the question is the change that's being offered by Trump acceptable? You know, the business community's a bit is concerned, and I think we're seeing it right now with the stock market. You know, the general public is a bit concerned as well because he has not, up until the last 2 weeks, Trump meaning, has not given anyone kind of a concrete sense of clarity and discipline clarity as to what that change is going to look like.
Governor, what do you make of that, what Don just said?
Well, I think he's been far more clear in terms of the overall direction. He believes in a free market economy. He believes that taxes are better when they're lower, not higher. He thinks that government is better when it doesn't strangle the free market by regulation that is unjustified and especially heavy-handed. What we've seen with the Clintons is the use of government agencies to actually punish political enemies in the name of government. And if there's anything that ought to turn Americans off and keep them from voting for Hillary, it's that she would use government to shield herself from responsibility and accountability, but use those powers of government to punish all of her political enemies. That is unacceptable in a nation where we're supposed to be equal justice under the law.
Governor Don Peebles, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.